road to PyeongChang continues at the 1928 and 1948 Winter Olympic venue. We're in sunny St. Moritz high in the Swiss Alps for round 7 of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. Hello everybody and welcome to Sunday morning and the start of the blue ribboned event, the 4-man bobsleigh. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan at the most historic and still the most glamorous track on the planet.
What Wimbledon is to tennis, what Monaco is to Grand Prix, what Yankee Stadium is to American baseball, this is to bobsledding, a track built over 100 years ago. Many of the names, the same names that were placed on them 100 years ago. Personality of the track is this start. It's shorter. You have to get in, get down quickly. No movement here. The athletes have to let the sled accelerate. Doesn't drop off. Couple stories, but as you can see, a longest straightaway in the world. And then this first pressure wall. Can't steer more than once or twice. Now the first challenge is snake 1 and snake 2, a little 2-corner combination. It's very tricky, sunny, the only part of the track that gets real sun up here. And now Nash and Dixon, named after the '64 Olympic Games gold medalists from Great Britain, members of the St. Moritz Bobsled Club. And now horseshoe, most famous curve in the world, telephone. This is where slingshot effect onto the bottom and big speed. Devil's Dyke, big sweeping left. Now you're hitting 85, close to 86 miles an hour bridge. It's pretty tricky down here. More speed available. Gunter Sachs. Now it drops off 2 more stories. 90 mile an hour plus speeds. We'll see in the 4-mans. Martineau, named after Martineau, Hubert Martineau, who founded the St. Moritz Bobsled Club in 1925. Portago, the finish. The track records are relevant because the track gets changed every year. And the track records will fall frequently today, Martin.
And it's a beautiful day, coldest, clearest day of the weekend so far. Johannes Lochner from Germany is our World Cup points leader ahead of his teammate Nico Walter. Canada's Justin Cripps lying in 3rd place. This and one more race a week from now in Berchtesgaden to decide the Crystal Globe. And then, of course, everybody's eyes totally focused on PyeongChang 2018, the Winter Olympic Games that start at the beginning of February. Well, we've got a massive field of 26 sleds from 19 different nations here, and only the fastest 20 will go through into the second heat. So we will see a lot of the early runners struggling to make pace because this track gets quicker with every passing minute. Air temperature -8, it was -16 around 7 o'clock this morning. Ice temperature down in the forest is still hovering around -20. And that is so cold, like when you touch the inside of your ice box at home, that you stick to it. It is sticky ice rather than slippery ice. Now in our start draw, Clemens Brasch of Switzerland, who holds the track records from the Swiss champs in New Year's Eve, he's off first, the Aussies go off 3rd. And then we get into the meat of our top 10. Around 11th, 12th place, Lamin Dean, Nico Walter, those guys all the way out down to Rudy Rinaldi and Monaco, returning to World Cup action with the 4-man this weekend.
All those guys that drew late got a big advantage. This is a natural track, different than those artificially cooled tracks that we compete on. And Martin, if I had my choice, this is where we compete, on natural ice.
Clemens Brasch is the first man off the hill. He has the start record and the track record from the Swiss Championships on New Year's Eve.
Got a mixed bag of athletes here.
Fabio Badraun, the man at 4, making his first World Cup start in 2 seasons after returning from injury. And he said, well,
watch out, he ran too far. The 4-mans, there's the track record, but you're going to see a lot of them. Watch the velocity, 57.3. You might have the best start time, but getting around that first curve, getting down, the best velocity is the better number that you want.
So it's 35.5 miles an hour from a standing start, pushing the sled on the ice. And everybody nicely settled into snake 1 and snake 2.
Saw a lot of change of direction of the heads there in snake 1 and 2. And snake 1 and 2 gave the skeleton 2-man and women's bobs fits. I don't think they'll give the 4-man as many problems because the 4-man goes straighter. It's got a mind of its own, a lot more weight. It's tough to get the 4-mans in trouble. But when they get in trouble, they have a mind of their own.
107.3, 66.6 miles an hour. And now with the weight of the 4-man sled accelerating really hard down the bottom of the track. These fast 4 right-handers bring you onto the straight. Top speed there, 146.5, 91 miles an hour.
I guess I was wrong. I said over 90. We've got the first sled down, over 91 miles an hour. We will see over 92 miles an hour before we're done here.
Well, it is very cold and very fast this morning. Clemens Brasher sets the track record, but that will probably be beaten by the next sled and the next and the next.
How many times are we going to see track records here?
Maybe a dozen.
10? There's one.
So Bracker with the lead, but start draw number 1 in a field this big, that's a poison pill for sure.
Get down. You don't want to be moving. None of the athletes see that movement there. The good teams will be getting to get down. You won't see any movement around that first curve. You have to be very proficient at that start. Here, there's a little bit of a skid as he enters the horseshoe. You don't want those foremans to be doing anything but going straight into the most famous curve in the world.
Maciej Luty of Poland had a good run in the two-man competition yesterday. He got a late start draw and really benefited from it. Early start draw today, that's the flip side of the coin.
In down, boy, didn't look like Luty wanted to take too many steps there.
Guy at 2, that's Arnold Spediak. He slipped a little getting in.
57.3 the Swiss had, 56.7. Look at that, a kilometer down. They're only 300s down, but they're almost a kilometer down at the start velocity.
So into snake 1 and snake 2 next. And that combination sets you up then for Nash and Dixon, which in turn sets you up for horseshoe. So snake is not just an individual corner. Once you got out of sunny, if you get in right, then you're okay for Nash and Dixon. If you get wrong off snake, then it carries itself all the way down. He's right in the middle of the track in horseshoe. Good high-ish line.
200's back, this is good speed. 107, not the same speed. 19th, 24th, and 18th in his 3 World Cup events this year. 18th last weekend in Altenburg. 3 back, that's related to because he was a 3/10 of a kilometer down on the exit of horseshoe.
Very close, good run here, could help him. 146.8, not quite the speed that we saw from the Swiss City sled. And so he will be in second place at the line.
It's a lot easier to use those speeds to predict the times with the foremans because there's so much more of a weight mass involved. Oh, he's not going to get it up here. That's not good. The brakeman put the brakes on too much, too hard.
Got to feather them all the way up the finish run. The bridge there, by the way, that's the railway line up into St. Moritz. That goes through the valley, and both the bobsled track and the cresta go underneath it.
Well, down.
Watch the slip from the guy at 2. Tumbles in on top of the driver.
It's not what the driver wants to feel, and now they're still not smooth getting around the first curve. Here's down at 89 mile an hour, 89 miles an hour in a vehicle with your rear end just 6 inches, 8 inches off the ice. Luty looks at his pictures and
good story here. The Aussies coming over to make 1 World Cup start, and Lucas Matter, Lachlan Reedy, David Murray and Hayden Smith, the crew, in a sled that was given to them free of charge by Canada. Sled that Nick Polignato's raced during the season.
Pretty good start by the Australians for technical 56.8. It's better than it's pretty good. I mean, they're driving a borrowed sled.
Yep.
Seeing a lot of shoulders back there. I was busting them about, hey, you got to get lower in the sled. Shouldn't see the yellow, but you know, in a borrowed sled, they've been down twice in it.
That's the problem with the yellow, is it stands out like a sore thumb. If it was black, you'd never see them.
But you'll see that. You'll see the other teams come in and they'll be buried. But again, this is a borrowed sled. The guys could barely have time to fit into it.
Yeah, and Lucas Matter's never driven here in St. Moritz before this week, so he's had a total of 6 trips in his life down the track in 2 and 4 man.
But he's got brave all over his forehead. I mean, these Australian athletes are pretty committed, pretty focused on the task at hand, and they get to the bottom here and they do what their Olympic Committee said, compete in a World Cup, and they'll finish in a World Cup in the 2 to 4.
Wow.
They tried to finish on his head there, but he's drew it down, and they've done what the Australian Bobsled Federation said. You had a World Cup rights or World Cup race result. They did. Congratulations, and true, all things being equal, they should qualify for the Olympic Games.
Good job, Stiggy. I said to them, we were talking to them last night, I said, look, remember, don't be gentle, it's a rental. Well, he did that in the final corner.
Yeah. He still would have finished intact, finished across the line. But he got away from a little bit here. This is the uphill section too. Not the way you want to look at the finish curve Portago, but hey, Lucas Matter, awesome job with the deck of cards, the hand he was dealt with. Good job, you guys.
Good job, boys. Proper Aussie grit. Next up, Well, tough break for Ivo Bobrun in the two-man. Start draw number 1, barely any better in the four-man. Start draw number 4. And their sponsors have brought 25 of their most important guests here. They've all been down in taxi bobs yesterday. They are so sold on this sport you can't believe.
Anybody that takes a taxi bob ride is going to be sold in the sport.
Well, and especially here. This is the king of rides.
In down, night. Ooh, no, there's 5'10",
start record.
Speed 57, 58.2. Great velocity by the Dutch.
And Sybren Jansma, former Dutch slider, was saying to me yesterday, when you get in, if you're not in perfectly, you've got to wait till here, till wall, till there's some pressure on the sled before you can wriggle yourself down.
Ooh, little mistake there, Martin. You're absolutely right. You got to wait. You got to wait to settle
those two
yourself
straights. You don't even breathe. The brakemen are saying.
Yeah, a little problem there between the Snake and Sonny.
700's up.
Going to need the speed of 107 at least.
And this is a new Valna sled that they've not raced before.
5 is great speed for the Dutch.
Yeah, top speed so far from Ivo Bobrun. Now, can he drive himself into the race?
Ivo Bobrun said yesterday his wife, Christine, qualified as the Canadian third sled. He said, I would give up every one of my chances for her to make that happen. It did. Great day for the Bobrun family, and this is the leader right here, another Bobrun.
Great day for Canada as well.
105.07.
Canada have never qualified 3 sleds. Well, Tom Delahunty, there's the coach. He's thrilled with that.
Well, give him credit. Great start time, great velocity. The velocity, you won't see better velocities, many better velocities than that 58.2. So good job by the Dutch. And Ivo Bobrun and the Dutch Olympic Committee selection standards are so strict that we don't even want to talk about them. But good lines here. And, you know, he's been in 3 different sleds this season.
Well, they had decent speed there from the Valna sled and a good drive from Ivo as well. One little skid down the bottom. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. It's going to be the same deal, I think, for the USA's Justin Olsen. Early start draw, never an advantage here. But look at the talent packed in here. Evan Weinstock, multiple Olympian Stephen Langton, and Sam McGuffey on the back of the sled. Now, Langton, you may have seen on social media, in a practice start earlier in the week, snapped the side handle off the sled. Let's hope there's no repeat here.
Indeed, down. I mean, they're going to have the velocity. They're going to quickly, they're in and down.
Oh, my word, what a start.
But he taps the wall. 57.8. They don't even have the velocity that the Dutch had.
Well, that is good speed, 35.9. Bobrun, 36.1 miles an hour there.
So Olsen still learning how to drive these big sleds. This is a brand new sled that he's been driving all year. That they still don't have the bugs out of it yet. Cody Basker's coming up with an even newer version of this. He's only had 2 trips in it, and they just adjusted the steering. Ooh, that's not good there.
Very different look from any of the other sleds.
Look at that, the lowest speed of anybody so far.
He's the only one to have had a hit in telephone coming off Horseshoe.
Lowest speed of anybody so far.
So the gap's come down from 27 to 2200, single digits now ahead of Ivo Bobrun.
Yeah, and he'll come down even more.
They all 1500.
146.3.
146 is the fast. 43.8 is the fastest we've seen.
1400.
All right.
So that'll be, I would say right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's qualified now into the second run. Listen to the rattle in that sled.
I think if you're inside 1:05, you should be in.
Right there. Check that out. 104, 105 is flat is the number. But he lost. There was just no speed in this sled. To have that start and the speed here on the exit of Horseshoe, well, that's either Justin driving too much or the sled just doesn't have it. This didn't help, but the speed trap's right there. So, but down below, a little tap here and there. But really alarming, the speeds.
Motors along nicely, that sled.
Yeah, but not fast.
Thanks for watching. Love you guys.
So top 5 of our 26 sleds, and Justin Olsen leads from Ivo Bobrun. Last year in the 4-man race here, we had a Latvian 1-2, Oskars Kibamanis, the gold medalist ahead of this man, Oskars Melbardis, with Damas Dreskins, Arvis Vilkasta, and Yanis Strenger. Well, Oskars Melbardis had to sit in last week because of a big thigh strain on his right leg. He's still not pushing fast as he used to, but he's at least being able to push.
A little late, 7. Let's watch the velocity, 56.9, not as good as the Dutch. I'm surprised at that.
Look how straight you have to track here, and look how frosty the track is. You can see clearly the marks left by the runners because they polish off a little bit of that crunchy frostiness.
Well, this is a wounded driver. This is not the driver we know who has the best starts, who won the World Championships in 15 in Innsbruck. Should see speeds of 107. Nice high line there. 107 what? 108.4. Now there's some speed.
Yep, that's the fastest we've seen. So 1600s behind Olsen. Should be down.
Yeah, he'll catch him now. He'll catch Olsen here. He'll probably catch him, be ahead by 9/1000ths at the bottom. Probably going to have
147,
yeah,
fastest we've seen so far, 91.3 miles an hour.
Yeah, 700s. It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's going to be very close in this
field. Look at the coach.
field.
Look, Sanders Preuss, no clapping. He knows his team with only the second best start in a team that last year probably had the best or equal starts. And that'll drop to the 6th or 7th, 5th or 6th best start by the time the heat's over. And look at Melbardis tenderly, gingerly getting out of the sled. Okay, watch it. Can we see the helmets back there? Can we see anything back there? Look at that. 4 huge men. We barely see a white shoulder back there. And the 6'3", 245-pound guy in the front, the 6'4", 255-pound guy riding number 2, tucked in there nicely in that little bathtub.
Plenty to think about for Oskars Melbardis. Next up is Justin Cripps, currently lies 3rd in the World Cup rankings in 4-man, points leader in 2-man.
Yeah,
2 silver medals.
Late replacement, Jesse Lumsden, replaced by Joe Nimitz from McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario. And see what the Canadians, very proficient at the start, can do here. 5 flat. 507.
A lot of wriggling in the back of the sled.
57.4, those very good velocity.
507 at the 50 meters. Team testing quick.
Cripps on a very successful season. I think he's the overall 2-man and 4-man combined champion at the moment. He leads in the 2-man convincingly as we go into, he could walk away with at least 2 of the globes next week.
Well, he's battling Johannes Lochner, Nico Walter and Francesco Friedrich, isn't he? But he is definitely right in the mix.
This is 108.7 probably the way he looks here. -4, 107.8 though. Not the speed that the Latvians had. So this might come back a little bit. Yeah, as expected. That speed in the Exeter Horseshoe box score that tells you everything. You can really put the numbers together.
Now, he got pushed away in league there.
200s, 1 surge, 46.4. He's
That's
going to lose
low.
more.
That is low. He'll be 2nd or 3rd at the line. Second.
200s ahead of
200s ahead of Justin Olsen, 500s back of Oskars Melbardis. There's going to be an awful lot of very close battles in this field before we're done on the first run.
Yeah, this is going to be a deck of cards in the second run too. Change your hand, a reshuffle. This is up in Snake to Sunny. Here down the speed part of the track. 2-man's had a lot of problems there. That's the first 4-man we've seen down in the bridge section. He was late there, and look at the result. 100 meters later, big skid in the super speedway part of the track for Justin Cripps from Summerland, British Columbia.
Tall figure of Alex Kopax there just in front of him.
Yeah, he's from London.
Ontario,
yes,
not England. Next up, Oskar Skibermanis, last year's 4-man winner here in Samoritz. Janis Janssens, Mattis Miknis, and between them, Helvis Lucis.
Best starts yesterday in the 2-man. See what this very athletic contingent of Latvians can do. Boy, ran a long ways.
But nice. Look how they get in.
Yeah, they get in quick. 4-mans don't have as much problem getting around there. 57.4 velocity. Same as the Canadians.
Yep.
Even though...
Better than Melbardis off a couple of hundreds better start. They were much better with velocity.
I got to believe this should be the leader at the bottom here. Again, it's easy to say that because he won the race last year.
Little rocky and Snake.
Yeah. Little tough transition.
Speed's good, but it's not as good as Melbardis or Olsen. Or Cripps.
Olsen had no speed on the Exeter Prize. This is a nice high line there. Doesn't tap. 1300s. Here he comes. 107.4. Not good speed,
not as
though.
Quick as Cripps.
So
and
this is
a kilometre slower than Melbardis.
Yeah. Surprised.
Back down into single digits.
This is going to be right to the 100th. 146.6 might give him the chance to maintain
Well,
the lead.
Melbardi's had 147, 147.5, fastest we've seen.
So he got online at the bottom, 10/100ths lead, 13, yeah, good recovery. Sanders looks on, doesn't like it. The coach does not like that. Of course, he's going early.
Yeah.
Just get in the mix. Just make sure you're not down by 20/100ths.
8 sleds down, 6 new track records, by the way, for those of you who are keeping score at home.
You keep track, 6. Okay. We
Cripps
said 10.
didn't, Matthias Luthi didn't, everybody else has broken the track record.
Now, the brakeman runs a little too far here, I think, but boy, they had a good entry into the sled. Sit down. Still, the Dutch have the best velocity.
They just got in like they were sitting in a bus. I mean, like there's space for everybody, and there isn't.
He's complaining about one adjustment. I bet you that was up in the Exodus Snake, remember? Snake to Sunny.
Next up, Francesco Friedrich, the joint 4-man world champion, the 2-man world champion. Francesco Friedrich, bronze medalist on this track in 4-man last year.
Let's see what these guys, the world champion team, can do.
Part of a German sweep of the 2-man podium yesterday.
And he gave away the 2-man race in the last 100 meters. He was sideways down the super speedway. He had the lead. 5:06 velocity. 57.4.
That's sort of on the numbers. It's not exceptional, but it's where it needs to be.
Where it needs to be. Look at the guys. I mean, those are huge men behind him. All 3 guys behind him are buried in the back of that sled.
Whoop.
Not a good exit there out of the wall. 900s, 90.5. 90.5, like you said, is the conservative number. That's late there in the first part of Nash. He's going to need 108 speed or high 107 speed. 15, he's flying. 108.4, there's the number.
Now he's in one of the new spec Valna sleds, and he will expect this to really motor down at the bottom of the track.
It is motoring down.
Oh yeah.
This could be 92 miles an hour.
Now he's got to get out of the next corner clean and not skid down the straight.
148,
yeah.
That's unbelievable. 92 miles an hour on the number.
New track record again.
Oh, that's a big run right there.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's the sign of things to come from the German sleds, watch out. That's 3/10. Wow, that's a lot.
That's a huge step forward. New Year's Eve, the track record set at 1:06.23. It's now down to 1:04.41. We will end the day going much quicker.
Again, high-speed part of the track. Look at the athletes behind him. Huge men. The air over that top of that sled into the back of it is probably the best aerodynamic profile of any team we've seen yet. Might have a little bit to do with why we saw the best speeds we've seen yet.
We've just seen Francesco Friedrich, one of 2 4-man world champions last year. And oh, here's the other. Johannes Lochner and Francesco Friedrich over 4 heats in Berchtesgaden could not be separated even by 100th. Christopher Weber off the sled, so Sebastian Marocca is in with Joshua Bloom and Christian Rasp behind the Bavarian.
So, anything 5:05. In, down, get around the first curve without any kind of spacing or drift. That's pretty good.
5:01.
Take a bite of that.
Are you kidding me?
57.8.
Fastest velocity so far.
Well, no, the Dutch had the fastest velocity at 58.2, if you believe the box there. But, wow. Here we go. And this is the World Cup leader in 4-man bobsledding. Medaled yesterday, came from behind in the second run. 91.8 is ridiculous. Watch out here. He could have 109 speed, and he'll blow the field away if he does.
Good height in horseshoe.
No.
Excellent run. 108.7, still quicker than Francesco Friedrich, so he'll build that lead.
Now he'll start to motor. This is where these sleds seem to fly. There he's pulling away.
Also in a Valna sled, so he and Friedrich with the same kit.
This looks smoother. But as soon as I said that, he drifts.
148.3, quicker again, so he will set another new track record to take the lead away.
This is huge.
104.26. And this is only the second of the German sleds.
There's the fan club, the mother. They're all here.
Wow.
Yeah. Johannes continues his threat onto the World Cup title.
8th new track record in 10 sleds.
And when you have the start time record at the top, you have a chance for the start or the finish record at the bottom. He did it all. And again, the team's buried back there. You can't see him. It looks like he's driving a two-man. He's got three big men all perfectly positioned in the sled. The Germans get AAA plus for their aerodynamic profile.
And for the drill to get in, Sebastian Marocca, a late replacement, made no difference. Hansi Lochner leads from Francesco Frigic by 0.15 the Oscars in third and fourth. 10 sleds down and 16 still to come. 11th start draw for Great Britain's Lamin Dean, Ben Semtek Simons, then the bounce, Toby Alubi and Andy Matthews on the back of the four-man. So one of two sleds in the field from Great Britain.
They've switched up the combinations last couple of weeks, haven't they?
Yeah. And again, just want to say all the best to Bruce Tasker, who was at home recuperating for a hip and a groin problem, and then suffered a mini stroke a week or so ago. He's been very well looked after. He's back home now and ready to start training, but he's been ruled out of the games.
British in and down now. Ooh,
good start.
Now let's see him get down in there, settle in there, get to an aerodynamic profile. We see a little shoulder back there.
57.7 is good speed. The velocity just lower than the Germans.
Yeah, really good entry. Bruce Tasker, the sport needs you, buddy. Hope you're watching.
Ooh, little rocky through Snake.
Snake didn't like that. He's 2,500s back already.
Had a problem with the steering of his two-man sled in the first day of training. Crashed.
Boy, you can see a lot of shoulders back there. Speed 107 flat, 107.1. Okay, considering where he is on the track, that's not bad. Now let's see if he can motor on the bottom.
Not the 108 that
46.
Germans had. Germans down the bottom in the 148s. Mid 147s is at the minimum that they'll require. 147
That's pretty
flat. Good. This Singer sled is starting to show its age.
91.3 is pretty good.
Top 5 inside the 105.
Yeah, very much. Quite, you know, we had a Cripps and Olsen. Third separated to 3 British. Canadian American sleds are separated by 300s. Lost all his time up top, though.
Yeah, little rocky and Snake.
Well, 800's behind at the start. It's going to go out to 15 maybe in this. But look at this. Watch the heads.
Yeah.
See those heads snap like that twice? That's the rocky transition into Snake, and that prevents your acceleration. That, you know, he's still going to accelerate, but not as proficient.
Now, big day here for Nico Walter after winning the two-man yesterday. And an even bigger day for Kevin Kuska, the beast at 2. This is his last ever World Cup race.
Yeah, I point to him too. The most successful brakeman ever in the history of our sport.
He was saying goodbyes at the top of the track. He is going to the games with Germany, so we'll see him in PyeongChang, but he won't race next week. And Berchtesgaden just gets in 5:08 start.
Velocity 57 and change, 56.9. That's not a good velocity. Nico gives up a little time, but if there's ever a time that he can bring back from a start deficiency, it's on this 1,700-meter track.
Like he showed yesterday, winning the two-man.
Didn't have the best starts, but he says he knows every bolt of his sleds.
Yeah.
All the other German drivers been changing sleds left and right. He's been pretty consistent.
89.8. Hansi Lochner was 91.8 there. That's a big speed deficit.
That's from the start. 19 back. 1:08.5.
Wow.
That's great speed.
Second only to Lochner. That's actually faster than Friedrich off a 5:06
He could
start.
get this down. Oh, we lost a couple more hundreds to Lochner.
Well, he's the only man in an FES
This is
built
going to be
four-man.
Germany 1, 2, 3 again.
Yes, it is. 1:48.6. Very good speed.
92.3. Ties the best speed.
Wow. Okay, 2/10 back. It's going to be a tough ask to go two-man and four-man gold, but he is in the hunt.
He's only 200ths at the start, deficient to Friedrich, and he's 500ths behind, so...
Wasn't a comfortable load at the start either, so that takes a bit of momentum
His
out of this
velocity
sled.
at the start, 56.9. Kevin Kuska, the veteran, wasn't settled around that first curve.
Well, what a day, what a place to have your last ever World Cup race. If you're going to say goodbye to the sport, then this is a place to do it.
Still Germans top of the leaderboard. Watch the transition here. This isn't the sunny. That looked pretty good. Watch the exit here, though, of Sonny. Let's see, this is down the bottom.
Yeah.
This is bridge, tree combination.
Well, things to think about for the second heat. Nico Walter lies in third. It's Lochner, Friedrich, Walter ahead of the two Latvians. Cody Bascu of the USA, Nate Weber, Carlo Valdez, and Chris Vogt on the back of the sled. And as you said, John, this is the very latest, still in raw carbon.
He's got one practice with this sled, with the new steering setup they just put in. He drove a couple trips.
Look at that.
Great start. I mean, the USA's got unbelievable.
58-1.
That's great
That's
velocity.
Great velocity. Good start. Great control in the first corner.
So this is the fourth trip down of this sled that's got so many different aspects to it. The BMW element, there's some California stuff, Richard Lobenstein stuff, Bodine stuff, even some German stuff that they took pictures of and copied and
92.
Integrated. That's good. Tap there's not going to help.
Top velocity.
Oh, no, tops again. So 2 hits. Going to need to get out 107 middle.
This new sled is quicker so far than anything else.
108.1 is great speed.
Okay, 108.5 and 7 we saw from the German, so those taps have robbed him of a little bit of momentum.
2100's back. This looks like fourth at the moment, but he's got to keep it clean down here and not lose the velocity. Olsen had no speed down here.
What's he got? 147.7. That's pretty decent. But he had better velocity than anyone all the way down to Horseshoe.
Fourth. Still, that's a great run. Nothing to cheer about in the American camp yesterday.
It's ahead of the top two from last year, Kibermanis and Melbardis, so he's racked up right behind the Germans.
Very impressed with the start.
Only 900s behind Nico Walter, with how few trips?
Start time. Look at Nate Weber. Here, this didn't help. Bang, this is up top between Sonny and Nash and Dixon. And then the second, look at the runner tips here. This is down at bridge and tree. Everybody hit there in the two-man yesterday. A little tap there, but that tap cost him, but did pretty good. If you remember what Friedrich did, tap there and then skidded down the speed part of the track.
Well, look, he shakes his head, but he's in fourth place
with a sled he's never raced. It's right out of the showroom.
Well, next up is Chris Spring of Canada.
They changed their teams up here, too.
Bronze medal in the season opener in Park City, where it was double four-man weekend. He's had 2 fifth places as well.
Brian Barnett, Lascelles Brown, Neville Wright. Go Canada.
5'10", that's a decent start.
57.4. Okay, considering the 5'10", that's not bad. But again, the Canadians are throwing their teams. They're shuffling them up from week to week.
Yep, trying to find the perfect combination. Cripps is 8th at the moment out of the 13 sleds that have come down. A little rocky through Snake for Chris Spring into Sonny. You can see the sun's on the corner now.
90.5 is decent for the Springer.
We just saw Cody Bascu with 92 kilometers an hour there. Low line in Horseshoe.
107 middle. Ooh, real big.
Wow, look at the speed.
The transition off a telephone or off a Shamrock was hard.
Great speed,
what a speed for the Spring.
10th fastest start. He's 5th on the splits.
He's moving, taking advantage of a little bit later draw.
Yeah.
Didn't have a great start, but he's flying.
148,
that's
great
huge.
Speed.
Almost 92 miles an hour, just a 10th off. Fourth, 2800ths. 100th ahead of Cody Bascu.
Yeah.
Bascu beat him by 600ths down below.
Got a race on our hands.
Bascu had him by 600ths at the start. So both American and Canadian sleds, 8 900ths out of third.
Top 6 covered by top 5 covered by 2900ths.
There's a little bit of a drift there, and you saw him get control with the runners, but the real thing was down exit of Horseshoe. This is
that's Snake again, little bumpy there on the exit.
And here, look at the head snaps there. You could see they were wobbling there. That's out of the telephone.
Well, Springer's happy with that, and rightly he should be. 4th place, right behind the German trio. So here we go. Now the game is on because the track is getting faster with every sled. Haven't had a track record since Johannes Lochner. That's a whole 4 sleds have not broken a track record.
I don't think anybody else will.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Kazanov might have a shout. He's had a good 4-man season.
I mean, he can make it fly.
Winner in Whistler, the fastest track on the planet, so the sled's got go in it.
They got to get better than a 15. Their persona the last few weeks has been 5:15 or so.
Didn't look like the cleanest hit.
9,
509.
good start for them. Velocity mid-57s, 57.4. So
Same as Spring, and
game
he's
on.
in 4th.
Now, I expect this Russian driver to not make too many mistakes. Aerodynamic profile, but his team, not too bad. I still see some shoulders back there. Germans, you didn't see anybody back there. Russians, the number 3 guy and 4 guy look up too high to me. 90.9.
Again, he's right in the frame with Chris Spring.
Now he needs that 108 speed, which he can
Good
do.
height, look at that.
2500's back, there's 107.7. Not the speed you
Okay,
want.
he's losing back now. He's going to be slipping back down the order. He climbed up to 7th on the splits, up to 6th.
Now. He's got magic in his eyes and hands, though. And down here in the super speedway, if he points it straight, and watch the speed, 147.1.
No, not good.
So not what I thought out of Mr. Kazanov.
Where is he? Yeah, 7th at the line.
He's ahead of Melbardis, Dean, Cripps, and Olsen, though. Ivo De Bruin still hanging in there in 12th.
Yeah, De Bruin has got Clemens Prasher, Matthias Luthi, and Lucas Matter behind him, but he needs 6 behind him to know that he's going to make it.
There's 2 more he's going to knock off, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a few.
Kazanov not happy, just still sitting in the slide. Love the angle, how high he gets up at the roof and to dive out of there.
And holds it late as well. Look how late he holds the height.
See, the guys in the back are too high. The number 3 guy and the 4 guy are too high. You can see, you see the shoulders back there? You can't do that here. The Germans, you didn't see any uniforms back there.
And the speeds are so high here. Like Whistler, that drag has a big effect.
That's what, you know.
Benny Meyer of Austria next up. Stefan Lauseger, Markus Sammer, and Donat Moldovan. Johannes Lochner leads a German 1-2-3. Now can Meyer put himself in the mix? Silver medalist here 2 years ago. Silver medalist in the European Championships at the same time. 5:08 getaway.
And velocity, not 57.4, so that's
same as the Russians we just saw.
You know, same as Chris Spring. Chris Spring drove himself down into medal contention.
Yeah.
Lots of skid there. I tell you, that's exit walls caused the skeleton sleds, the 2-man women's bar, and the 4-man's problems all weekend.
Okay, you've got to get off Dixon.
not good.
Gets a skid, straightens it up into Horseshoe, but he can't take the high line he wants.
2500's back, 108.2, that's great speed.
Excellent speed.
From the athlete who won a silver medal in this World Cup event a couple years ago. That was his coming out party, his first ever podium. Surprised everybody. So on the bottom part of the track, he's got some reputation for good speed.
It's another Valna sled. It's last year's World Championship winner, 148.2. That's why he's got it for that top speed. And at the line, 4th or 5th, 6th
good
by
run.
a couple of hundreds.
Yeah, 600's
back
behind
from
Basque. They'll take that.
Yeah, no kidding. Top 6 now.
His teammate Moldovan has come back.
Yeah,
Look at this skid. This was sloppy up there in the exit wall. And then watch the heads, the transition. This is in the snake. Then down below, can we see the shoe? You know, let's check this entrance into Horseshoe. Well, we're seeing a lot of the Kappa logo there in the back of the brake, but we shouldn't see those shoulders. Look at him study the times.
Yeah.
Right into the computer.
Yeah.
I lost between snake and bridge. That's what they, you know, right away those guys can recognize them numbers. Point B to point C to D. They can add and subtract quickly.
17th of 26 sleds, Brad Hall of Great Britain with Nick Gleeson, Joel Fearon and Greg Cackett on the back of the 4-man sled. And it's another Singer sled. Brad Hall expecting to go to the games for 2 and 4-man. Originally the plan was for Lamin Dean to drive 4-man, Bruce Tasker to drive 2-man, but it now seems that Dean will do 2 and 4. 5:03, that's a big start from
Look
the
at
Brits.
the athletes are still fitting themselves down. They're still getting down to that aerodynamic profile, but you don't want to move because the move could cause a little variance of the sled like that. But number 2 guy is not in comfortable at all. You can see his shoulders, and that's the first guy you shouldn't see anything from. You can see the heads. Watch the head movement from left to right. That's because they're not in the sled. You can see the bouncing around of the heads in the back.
90.3 is decent speed, 56.1 miles an hour.
Gets up near the lip, 107 low.
107.9, that is good speed. Brad Hall coming on really strong in the last season.
But now we'll see if this affects them down below. I don't think that they have good aerodynamic profile. I'll give them a C. You can see every guy in the sled. And down here where the speeds are fast, let's see how much he falls off. 146.6.
Four-man bronze in Park City, his first ever World Cup medal. And at the line, 8th place.
Not bad. Good stuff. Second best start.
Yeah.
That's what the coaches should be most impressed with.
Yeah.
But I'll say on camera, they'll hear me, they need to find a better way to fit in the sled because we could see all of them. And on this high-speed track, aerodynamics play a lot of importance at 91, 92 mile an hour speeds.
Look at Brad there, trying to look round to see what the time is on the screen, the big screen down at the bottom. Just seeing where they placed.
Okay, the
Nick
load
Gleason
was
on the
good.
left of your picture. He's the...
Watch the number 2 guy's arms. Watch him wait to come in. And then they don't want to move getting around the curve. Just get in, get down, and watch him hold his arms up. Well, down, they don't show that, but...
Well, Nick Gleason with the Parachute Regiment logo on his helmet. And Brad Hall lying in 8th place. Lots of Swiss flags now for Rico Peter. Now, talk about wounded soldier. Broke his thumb in a crash last week in a 4-man race in Altenburg. It's been pinned and plated. It's strapped up.
Saw his brakeman today with the had shoulder surgery himself, broken collarbone. He hopes to be back for the Olympics.
And so Mikkel Quonen is at 4 on the back of this sled. First time he's been part of Rico's crew, normally with Clemens Bracker, but he is the fastest brakeman in the Swiss Federation. 5'11".
Velocity 57.1. It's not bad.
Rico's trying to push on that handle with one hand, basically.
Look how low they are, but number 2, 3, and 4, let's see if we can see them here as we come down the track. The Swiss, see, I don't know, I can see some heads back there.
Yeah, a little rocky as well.
Yeah, moving around, 90.3. Rico had a great result yesterday coming off that injury. Low, ooh, hits, mistake, oh, he's late. He was low, made a mistake at telephone, late coming off a telephone, no speed, and he's relegated to 12th or 15th place.
Yep.
Unless he finds some magic line, but I don't think they got great aerodynamics here to pull off anything here in the bottom.
The Swiss sleds normally do decent numbers, still 147.6. See, that's pretty decent.
Better than the British by a kilometer, 91.7.
10th at the line.
So they came back in the bottom.
15th start, 10th at the bottom.
Wolfgang Stamfer just says he's not happy with that. And I think he made a mistake in horseshoe telephone where he made him make driving error because his speed on the exit 107.1 may be the 12th or 14th best speed of anybody coming out.
Well, if he hadn't got hurt last week, look, at least he's trying to get himself out of the state. If he hadn't got hurt last week...
Low, now watch, he has to steer. He's really low. Look at the runners. You can see how hard he's steering, and then he taps before he goes into the telephone.
Yep.
Now he goes in, watch him tap. Watch him come into the middle of telephone. If they let it go on the exit here, he was late. Watch how late he is here. Nobody's up there, and that's Frost. No runner marks have been up there all week.
Well, the good news is we spoke to Thomas Amrine. He's had his collarbone plated already. He's here at the track, and he will be training in a week or two. Nick Polignato of Canada, the 3rd Canadian sled, 19th in the start draw. Just to remind you, normally that's a deficit. Here, the track gets quicker all day long. 5:09 getaway.
And he's got a brand new BTC sled. He gave his sled up to the Australians.
Yeah.
Changed the steering in this. He's still a 57.9 is excellent. Wow. 11th best start, but they got one of the best velocities.
36.0, that is the fastest we've seen, but he's clipped both walls, off wall and into snake.
He's driving, a sled. 91.6 is excellent, but he's driving something he's not familiar with, and he's just,
Whoa.
Gave his sled up to Christina de Bruin for the women's competition, qualified her in the Olympics, late there. 105, lowest speed of anybody down the track so far. So this steering, he's not comfortable with. And he told me they're trying out things. I bet you he goes back to his 4-man next week at Kodakse.
Could well be.
He'll be shaking his head here because this is 145.8. The speeds are slow all the way down. Yes, he made some mistakes, but with the start and the velocity.
He's rubbed it all off against the walls, though, hasn't he? That hit out of wall and again into snake You know, you're going so slowly there that you lose such a great percentage of your speed.
Sam McGarrett hurt with a groin injury. Derek Plug in with him. Josh Kirkpatrick, Cam Stone's a 2. They won't be happy with that. You know, the start wasn't great. Velocity was great.
Well, this is
the mistake
Snake.
there.
Yeah,
Boy,
wow.
No one gets into that curve like that.
Never seen that line. And again, you see him haul it there off Nash and Dixon, off Dixon, the exit, and then clatters the wall going into Horseshoe, and that puts you offline. And a skid down here. Catalogue of woes. Well, Kaylee Humphries tried a brand new sled yesterday in the women's race. Didn't really work quite how she wanted, but she'll try it again next week. Maybe they'll try the new sled for Polonyato again. Well, Maxim Anjanov, like Nico Walter, knows this piece of kit. It's a Valna sled that the Russians have had for several years.
But boy, he had some terrible result yesterday. I told him his brakeman was way up at 24th. This guy's got so much experience. For his brakeman, you could see him all the way down the track. It looked like a passenger bob ride.
And Anjanov under real pressure to qualify himself for the games and a sled for the Russians. He's got an awful lot of quick American sleds hounding him.
Yeah, but he's finishes in the top 15. I think that pretty much locks him into the third sled into the competition.
Oh, skids off wall, and then a really rocky through Snake.
Boy, the speed's not there.
No.
Let's look at the position of the team.
Okay, 14th
you could see the second, third guy low, really low. But that's 47's not bad. 107.4's not bad. That's middle of the pack speed.
Yeah. Well, he's in 16th place on the split times at the moment out of 19 sleds. So he should
hanging in there.
make the race.
15th now, 14th. Speed part of the track, I mean, pretty clean. 147.7. Better speed than he had yesterday. Much better four-man than he did in the two-man where he didn't make the cut. 13th. So that's going to lock him in. Head of Olsen. That's not what the USA. He gets ahead of either U.S. sled, and he's ahead of Olsen by 200ths. Olsen beat him by 7. Olsen went way in front of him. 15
sleds earlier. That's 1,500s
so
minimum.
Olsen's got to beat him to have a chance for the USA to have 3 sleds.
Yeah.
And there's so many other factors involved into that whole procedure. This down below where the bridge, tree combinations, speeds are excessive, near 90.
Well, it's not a great run for Maxim Anjanov. Here's the 20th sled down. Germany 1-2. Francesco Friedrich in second behind Hansi Lochner, and Nico Walter makes it 1-2-3. 20 sleds down, 6 to go here in St. Moritz. For everybody now, you've got to force somebody else out of the race to get a spot in the second heat. First up to try and go fast or go home is Loic Costerg of France, and the man who's on the bubble is Lucas Matter and Team Australia.
Well, if he does what he did in the two-man, or his teammate did in the two-man, he'll have good speeder in the bottom. Bruno Mangeon equipment. Look at the guys. Look how buried they are.
Yep.
You look at the aerodynamics here. Can you see anybody? Boy, we've seen so many inefficient aerodynamic profiles by the teams. This is one of the best. This rivals the Germans. I give the French an A+.
Vincent Ricard, Vincent Castel, Dorian Hauteville in the sled, and they're concentrating on a split program for France. Costerg in the four-man, and his younger teammate Roman Heinrich in the two-man. And at the moment, looks as though they will get both sleds to the games.
Could be 107.8 or so with this deficiency. 108.6.
108.6 is fabulous speed.
This is what he does. This is a Bruno Mangeon prototype. This guy's been under Bruno Mangeon's thumb for about 5 years, and it's starting to show.
18th at the start, 8th on the split. He'll be 6th at the line. 148.6. Insane speed
just
from
like
the French.
Bruno Mangeon.
Top 5 maybe. 6th at the line. 100 behind Cody Basquieu.
Look at the Francais.
Allez les Bleus. Fantastic run from Loic Costerg.
Well, on a high-speed part of the track, he's got the 18th best start. He finishes 6th. He won't have 1,700 meters to work with in PyeongChang, Korea. But that just shows you eyes and hands talent, the proficiency of the team sitting in the sled, that aerodynamic profile. We've seen so many teams where you can see shoulders and heads. But you saw how good he was in that sled.
And that means that Lucas Matter and Team Australia don't make the cut. Next up on the bubble, Matthias Luthi. And it's going to get brutal now because Alexei Stulnev, if he doesn't make the cut, it's because he's crashed, surely.
Well, let's take a look at what the Russians do with their aerodynamic profile. This guy had the 15th or 16th best start, 20th best start yesterday and finished, what, 5th?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is another eyes and hands specialist.
Stulnev, 6th place in Innsbruck. His next best result in a four-man, 12th in Park City, 16th, 2 19ths and a 21st. It's been an abysmal season in four-man for Alexei Stulnev. 57-3.
Look at the bodies we can see back there compared to the French, who were buried like it was a model body.
Yeah. Well, they started 300s quicker than the French, 5:11. So they're 17th on the splits.
90.8 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than Kostej, but
better than Anjanov, his teammate.
They had better velocity.
Yeah, but is he going to get 108 here? 108.6 the French. He'll be 107.6. There he is. So he's not
going to match the top 10 here. He's at 14th. He might get to 12th or something.
Creeping up the order. But it's not a flying machine like Kostej. Kostej down on the
aerodynamic profile.
Yeah, 148.6 for the French.
He's coming, 147.6. He could get to 10th. 11th, 153. So in the 50s, there's 1-2 sleds, then 2 sleds tied for 60.
That was 2,300 slower than the Frenchman off a 300's faster start.
Yeah.
And that is aerodynamics.
Yeah. There's too many Russian shoulders, and look at that back there. I mean, the French, you didn't see anything. Yeah. Look at the way they're bouncing around.
And the skid down into Horseshoe didn't help, did it?
You know, we're dealing with 91 miles an hour, so the air is more important here than it is in Innsbruck or Altenburg last week, which, you know, it's important. You're only going 70 miles an hour there.
Late off telephone there as well, so that wasn't a great run through Horseshoe. Simone Bertazzo of Italy had a decent run in the two-man yesterday. This track plays well to his strengths, which are driving excellence, and kind of covers over the fact that the Italian doesn't get greater starts than his rivals.
5:20 will give Simone semblance of a chance. In down, good efficient.
Nice load. Nice load.
56.6, well, worst start in the field. 22nd out of 23 sleds so far.
Kostej only had 56.8 velocity there as well, and look where he ended up. So this is a golden opportunity for Bertazzo.
Well, Bertazzo, a bronze medal on this track in the two-man competition at the World Championships in 2007, 90.5. It's a little bit off the Russian speed, similar to the French, but you see a lot of blue uniforms back there.
Nice smooth lines as ever.
107.
108.2, here we go now. Bertazzo is doing exactly what the French did.
Here he comes. He could creep down into the 9th, 10th, 11th position.
Smooth as silk. He's still only in 20th.
No, I take that back. He might get into the high teens.
Let's see what he's got at the bottom. 147.9 is very good speed, not the same as the French. So in the teens, he's in the race at the expense of Nick Polignato, who has bounced out. 18th place. Well, Giovanni Mulisano applauds there, but that's not safe territory yet for Simone Bertazzo. So Ivo de Brun in 19th, Clemens Brasher in 20th, Bertazzo.
Walter, we just saw right now.
Oh, Walter's
Nico
DQ.
Walter's been disqualified. We just saw that pop up on our screen.
So Polignato just popped back in.
So Spring is now in 3rd place. Bascu in 4th, and they're close.
Polignato just popped out of the race and popped back in.
Start, well, good technique by the Italians. Most of them military guys. Polizias in, down, watch the arms. And watch them now start to, ooh, look at Bertazzo's head get pushed. See the way they settled in? Now, again, you shouldn't see anybody.
Now we're hearing that Nico Walter and his crew, the sled was underweight.
Oh boy.
And that is not a great
Second
day.
disqualification for him in 2 weeks.
Next up, Marcus Treichel, this young Austrian with a great opportunity here after a good two-man run. He's got Frank the Tank. Franz Esterhammer is back in a sled with Marco Rangel and Ekimeni Bassi on the back handles.
Let's see, look at that. We can't see, can we see anybody back there?
A little bit of helmet.
Little bit, but not bad.
But as long as you're in line with the driver
there, we don't see the shoulders of the fore guy, but we do see him bouncing around a little bit. Really good transition there, late there on that second S.
Looks as though Austria are going to qualify two sleds into the two-man competition. Not sure if my maths was good enough to see whether or not... Yeah, I think they'll get 2 in 4-man as well. Oh, big hit!
Late there, a little bit low, no speed here. One of the...
Well, no kidding. After that would have popped a hip or two, probably.
Late, he was a little bit like Rico Peter on the exit of the telephone.
Back down to 20th place now on the splits. It's him or Polonyato. What speed has he got? Needs 147. 146 is not enough. 21st place, Treichel. That mistake off Horseshoe is going to cost him. He's in.
No, he's in. He beat him by 200.
Oh, those hundreds.
Yeah, he had a half. Remember, Polonyato had the worst speed all the way down the track, from Horseshoe down. It was a half a mile an hour down to the Austrians there. Bang. Hit to the middle of the curve. Look at the skid, the big four-mans. And he goes, boy, he yanked that thing off there. He did a Robin Hood.
There you go, first of the weekend. Exactly right, exactly right. Well, there's a very disgruntled Nico Walter, the sled underweight. The sled
Twice in 2 weeks he's disqualified.
Sled has a minimum weight and a maximum weight with all the crew. And that's heartbreaking. 2 to go, and it's another sled from the Billy Meyer-Hans rental squad.
He's got more equipment in here than Hertz.
Jan Verber of the Czech Republic with Jakub Havlin, Dominic Succi and David Egdi on the back of the sled. Billy Meyer-Hans, by the way, is the second-ranked Swiss driver in 4-man.
They won't let him compete.
Well, he's not in the World Cup, but he may qualify 2 Swiss sleds for the Games, and then he will have to go.
Well, then the Swiss Olympic Committee, those Olympic committees that make the rules and regs of who goes and who doesn't, some of those people should be under investigation.
Yes. Well, Meyer-Hans is a long way clear of Clemens Brasher in the overall IBSF points. It's not even a question.
How's the shoulders look?
Beautiful. What a great looking crew.
Yeah, but you can see them. Shouldn't see all those black shoulders. I'm pretty critical, though, I guess.
5:18 start, so 20th at the start. And again,
this is a very experienced pilot, 89.9, not the number you want.
Marcus Treichel is on the bubble in 20th place.
But they're just, he doesn't have control. There's the bus going by.
And the bus going by.
Yeah, late. 107.7's pretty good. Jan Vrieber knows how to drive 4-mans.
But 23rd place, he's not finding the speed he needs. All the steers are just a fraction late.
107.7, he could get it.
Still 23rd. He's not going to make the race unless he's got 149 here, and he's way slow. 23rd place at the line. He'll be just ahead of Lucas Matter of Australia, but he does not make the heat.
No, there's a back to the drawing board there. He had the 20th best start. Velocity was decent. Speed at the bottom, 91 miles an hour, not the worst. But watch these lines. Look, first of all, the guy, you could see all sorts of black uniforms. Look at the skidding going on.
Skiddy.
And then here in the exit of telephone, he does another Robin Hood.
And look, all that weight, you try rocking that sled, not a chance. Not a chance can one person do it. All that momentum, pushing them side to side, that speed coming out of the sled. Final sled is Rudy Rinaldi Monaco. Boris Van behind him, and then Thibaut Dumarton and Stevan Borge making their first race start of the season. And of course, Rudy Rinaldi coming back from that foot injury that crippled him at the beginning of the season. They've missed a few World Cup races. Rinaldi now having a final stab here in St. Moritz with the crew. Well, if they can start lower than a 20, they've got a chance of making the race. As ever, the crew superbly turned out 5:13. That's pretty decent.
Good start.
Last sled on the ice.
7-1, that's great velocity for this young Monaco team. And he's just, look at the profile, like the French. This is another Bruno Mejean coach team, and
Well, normally, last out, you'd be crucified in terms of speed, but the sled should fly now. 18th, he's in the race at the moment. 91.4's not bad velocity.
If he does anything like his half teammate, Costege or French, he will fly here. 107 high, he'll be in. 42, that's great. 108.7.
Oh, excellent speed.
Listen, if I'm anybody who has a chance to buy a Bruno Menjon sled, do it. I mean,
equal
it's
fastest speed with Johannes Lochner, the race leader.
This kid doesn't even have the experience in a four-man sled. This is flying. 11th. 148.5.
This could be 8th at the line. 7th, 6th, top 6 for Rinaldi. 7th at the line. And
Bruno,
that's what going late and a fast sled do for you.
I mean, you talk about speeds, you know, FES, you got the Bodines, you got the BMWs, you got Wallners. What else you want to talk about? Bruno Menjon's got a couple sleds in the field. They don't get the great starts. They have the best speeds on the bottom. The Monaco and French team might be in the top 5 of speeds on the bottom part of the track. And the lines, I mean, this isn't great on the Exeter wall. And he's, you know, Rudy Rinaldi doesn't have a lot of four-man World Cups. He might have 6 or 7 under his belt in his career.
Yeah, he's got plenty to think about for the second heat.
He knows too.
Well, you know, it's a brave choice to come back to the World Cup again. He only started once this season. In fact, he was only entered once this season. That was in Innsbruck, and they didn't actually start the race because they still weren't strong. Well, off a 5:01 track record at the start, Johannes Lochner came down in 1 minute and 4¼ seconds with a track record at the bottom.
With a replacement brakeman. Last minute change, brakeman, he still has the best start.
8 track records in the heat, 4 start records in the heat. They currently are in Hansi Lochner's hands, but I guarantee there'll be more changes before we're done in the second heat.
He's the World Cup leader. He's won 3 times already, but he's got a huge lead. 1500s is a lot on this track.
Listen, there's 2 races you want to win. Your home race, that's next week for him, and St. Moritz, and he leads here. But look at that, Cody Bascu, Lloyd Kostek, and then Benny Meyer, Rudy Rinaldi.
Couple ties in there.
Fantastic stuff. It's going to be so close. Look at that, from 12th place down to 18th, 800ths of a second. Clemens Brasher clings on by the skin of his teeth. Marcus Streichel, Nick Polignato, Matthias Lute, Jan Verber, Lucas Matter don't get a second run. And Nico Walter disqualified out of the bronze medal position. More drama to come here in sunny St. Moritz. Sleds will be back on the ice at 1:15 local. That's 12:15 Zulu. Wherever you're watching, join us for all the action. Till then, Auf Wiedersehen from St. Moritz.